Australia.
Australia.
Football.
Footy.
Tennis ball.
Tenno.
Biscuit.
Bicky.
Chocolate.
Chocky.
Chocolate biscuit.
Chocky Bicky. McDonald's. Macca's.
Laptop.
Lappy.
AC/DC.
Akadaka.
Devastated.
Devo.
Definitely.
Defo.
Morning tea.
Monos.
No one has ever said that.
I say that all the time. What time is it? Monos. Get a Bicky.
Afternoon.
Arvo.
This afternoon.
Savo.
Dinner.
Din-dins.
Breakfast.
Brekkie.
Service stations.
Servo.
Petrol.
Petty.
Bottle shop.
Bottler.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Bowling club.
Bolo.
Garbage man.
Garbo.
Postman.
Posty.
RSL.
Ari. Or Rissol.
Smoke break.
Smoker.
Registration.
Rego.
Aggressive.
Aggro.
Pregnant.
Preggers.
Wollongong.
The gong.
Swimming costume.
Cozzy.
Mosquito.
Mozzie.
Tracksuit pants.
Tracking dats.
Monday.
Monday.
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Friday.
Friday.
Saturday.
Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Birthday.
Birthday.
Musician.
Muso.
U-turn.
Yui.
You're from out west.
Westy.
Facebook. Vegetarian.
Veggio.
Cab driver.
Cabby.
Lipstick.
Lippy.
Sunglasses.
Sunnies.
Present.
Prezi.
Christmas.
Chrissy.
Christmas present.
Chrissy Prezi.
St. Vincent de Paul.
Vinnies.
The Salvation Army.
Salvos.
Cup of tea.
Cuppa.
Is that British?
We are British.
Avocado.
Avo.
Have an avocado.
Have an avo.
Spaghetti bolognese.
Spag bog.
Bog.
Do you call it spag bog or spag bowl?
Bowl.
I think there's two variations.
Bog is poo. Underpants.
Undies.
Beverage.
Bevy.
Chewing gum.
Chili.
Toasted sandwich.
Toasty.
Methylated spirits.
Metho.
Turpentine.
Terps.
Fellow.
Fella.
Poverty-stricken person.
Povo.
Husband.
Hubby.
Give me.
Gimme.
Trying to.
Trying.
Hectic.
Heckers.
Cigarette.
Siggy.
Tin can of beer.
Tinny.
Schnitzel.
Schnitty.
Ambulance.
Amber.
Fireman.
Fiery.
Cop.
Copper.
Bricklayer.
Bricky.
Tradesman.
Tradie.
Umbrella.
Brolly.
Sick day off work.
Just go through all that because they just go on forever. I'll bring up Lexi because she's more amusing.
Australians do this one really weird thing that nobody talks about, and I'm finally going to talk about it. I've been here for almost 2 years and I can't keep quiet about it anymore. In the States, we hear about how Australians are super laid back and fun and outdoorsy and like cool, and all of that might be true. But did you know that Australians will not take the energy rating sticker off of their fridge, or I would venture to say off of any of their appliances? They leave that sticker there as if leaving the sticker is what makes that appliance energy efficient. Or maybe it's just a nice reminder that you got a good deal on a good energy rated appliance. I don't know. They don't take it off. And I bet if I did a poll below and I asked Australians, do you have an energy rating sticker on one of your appliances in your home? The answer would be overwhelmingly yes. Like 90% yes. Prove me wrong in the comments. This is weird. And I told you it needs to be talked about. Nobody's talking about it. I'm finally being brave enough to talk about it. Okay? You're welcome.
Yeah, she's right. I saw that this morning and I checked on my freezer, and sure enough, I do have the energy rating sticker on my freezer still. I haven't actually checked the fridge because I'd have to get up and go and look in the kitchen. But it's true. I don't know why we do it. We just do it. Nice work, what's up? You've got all yours removed. Welcome in, everyone. Anzac bickies are the best. Coconut, rolled oats, and golden syrup, or is it? I can't think right now. The energy rating is on your washer in the shared laundry room. Yeah, I think it's just something we do here. Yeah, golden syrup, cool. Huh. Canadians do the same thing. Nice. So it must be just Australians and Canadians that are different from Americans. Welcome in, everyone. Those of you who might not have been in yesterday's live stream, just to confuse the issue, I now have the vertical and horizontal ones. So I will say, if you cannot see Charlotte in chat, then you are in the vertical chat. If you are in the horizontal and you want to hop out of that to get into if you're in the vertical and you want to hop out to get into the horizontal, click on my channel logo. That'll take you to my channel, and then you'll be able to see the two lives side by side, and in like when you see them like that, the vertical one has a picture of a phone in the title. So for anyone wanting to hop out of the vertical into the horizontal, that's how I always do it if I end up in the wrong one on someone's live. Yeah, Karen, so if you if you click on, I have to figure out a way of making this easy for people. I tried to. The reason I was a few minutes late coming in was I went in to see if I could edit the title of the vertical one to say that it was vertical, but I couldn't edit it. But I think if I have scheduled a live stream, then sorry, losing my voice. I think once I've scheduled a live stream, I should be able to post the link for the horizontal one. I tried to. Okay, give me a second. Now that I'm live, yeah, I have to figure out how they do that, because I know Justin puts the in his title somehow. Just give me a second. I'm going to see if now that I'm live I can actually edit that, because it would make it so much easier for people. I don't think. I'll have to try and figure it out. I will. Yes. Maybe add a link in the first chat post on the vertical chat to the horizontal one. That's a really, really good idea. Okay, bear with me for a minute. Let's have, just while I have a fiddle, let's have this.
Build a fence so tall, the cars are parked and watching me, they speed away when I step out the door. They take my pics and videos galore. Drones are buzzing high above my place, yet none appear online to show their face. No one sees my mom making the ground, just silent lights without a sound. Up in the sky, lights of every color shining bright. They flock to watch me every night, hoping for a glimpse or a fight. I run so fast they can't keep up. They chase me through the wasted flush every night.
Okay, I'm having a bit of a play around. Can you see the comments on screen now? Because I've put them on screen. Do you want them like tall like that or boxy like that? Yeah, normally I look for the largest number of viewers, but at the moment it seems that you can see them on screen. Is that big enough? I can read them okay like that. I find them easier to read. Hang on, let's have look what wide looks like. No, I like the regular better. Tall. Okay, yeah, for the mobile. Like that? Is that best for everyone? Oh, good morning. Amira's come to join the live. Okay, so now if I put comments up, then everyone can see everyone. And I also added the link. I think I can I pin it? Let me go back up and I'll see if I can pin that link. Hang on. No, I can't pin it. I'll learn. Bear with me, I'll get there eventually. Getting there. Anyway, yeah, once I actually start putting up like a video, it might be a bit more tricky. Maybe I need to start editing my video clips so that there's like a black side bit or something. I'm not sure. Oh wow, little black bear in code orange. I hope everyone around what is it, Ontario, everyone, I hope people are safe in Canada. I was scrolling through TikTok last night after I went to bed and there was a video. It was a freight train and it's in Canada somewhere. I can't remember where because it was like, 1 o'clock in the morning when I saw it. And the whole train was surrounded by fire. So everyone who's in an area where there's forest fires at the moment, stay safe. Stay inside because lungs just do not like forest fires at all. It's just not good for you. So stay safe, stay inside, and as someone who has grown up in Australia, has done the evacuation thing many, many times, if you think you need to evacuate, even if you haven't had an evacuation notice, just do it. Ariel, that's the same with me. Smoke is not my friend. Had a big trip planned to Sydney a few years back with my sister and my niece. We had all the accommodation booked. We had all these things we were going to do up there. There were bushfires. I think, and Bonza will be able to help me out. I'm not sure if it was around Canberra way or further north towards Sydney. Southern Ontario, right? We got about as far as the Victorian New South Wales border, and I basically had to catch a train back down to Melbourne and then back up to Bendigo because I could not. My asthma was just like, yeah, I can't do this. So yeah, if you are anywhere in Canada where it's smoky and horrible, please stay safe, stay inside, and even if they haven't told you yet to evacuate and you have this concern and you want to go somewhere where you feel safer, just do it. Because it's better than just sitting there stressing. It's better than sitting there checking your phone every 5 minutes, waiting for an evacuation order. And also it means that, and this is definitely coming from an Australian perspective, because my sister used to live in the Dandenong Ranges, which there's really only one main road out kind of from the area where she was in. If you get out ahead of any evacuation orders, if you think it's that serious, you beat the traffic. Oh, you've got tons of smoke too, but BTTB, that is not good at all. I hope you are definitely staying inside and looking after your lungs. Calgary's got horrible smoke. Yeah, and that's the other good thing to do. If it is smoky and you can't shut your place up, then go somewhere like a library or a mall or somewhere for air conditioning, that's for sure. Oh yeah. Over summer, I always have water out for the birds. Last summer, and it didn't seem to affect my water bill that much either. I had you can get those splash pads for your dogs, and you can get them for kids too, but you can get dog-sized ones. They're just like this mat, and it's got a ring around the outside that you get water coming in from the hose, and it just kind of sprinkles into the splash pad. I had one of those going through summer all day, every day, and the birds loved it. Because birds get so stressed in the heat, it's not good for them. So Karen's got ashes falling from the sky. Wow. Now, I haven't managed to actually greet everyone individually this morning. I normally try and jump in and say hi to everyone. So I'm just going to do an all-round welcome in and hi. And definitely please stay safe if you are in Canada, anywhere around the fires. Trust me, as an Australian, we know, we understand. 26 in Nova Scotia, that's not too bad. Yeah, sea breezes are good. That's one thing I miss. Living here in Bendigo, we never get a sea breeze. So you don't get that lovely part of the day in the afternoon when everything just starts to cool off. We just get hotter and hotter. So, by 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, it's just so hot that you just think you're going to die. Yeah, that's always a good idea too. I have a bird bath for the birds, but I did find that they love the splash mat more, so I've just kind of kept going with that this year. Yeah, some of the big fires we've had in Australia are just frightening. And it seems like Canada, well, we know California as well, and LA. Yeah, lots of bad fires around. Okay, so before we jump in, just to mention for anyone who is just coming in, you may be in the vertical chat because I now have vertical and horizontal. I did add the link if you wanted to jump across into the chat for the vertical. If you wanted to click that and hop across. I will figure out a way of making it easier for people. There's got to be a way that I can get in beforehand, like Justin does, and add the picture to the title. Anyway. Okay, so we finished yesterday listening to Belinda. And I was going to jump in and listen to some of the Janie audio from Facebook. But it was pointed out to me that we haven't really paid a lot of attention lately to what Cheryl, Hayley, and Logan said early on. And I actually think, following on from listening to what Belinda has said, that would actually be quite worthwhile. So I have pulled up, I think there's about 3 different conversations that were had with Susan on Hidden in the Fog. So I've just pulled that straight out of my case file thing for Lily and Jack. And I thought just go over that over a few days. Just listen to what was said back then, see what's changed, because we know that the narrative has changed so much. So it would be interesting to just go back and have a look at that. So let me bring that up on stage, and hopefully people will still be able to read the comments.
Just touching on the subject of the blanket, I've kept pretty quiet.
Oh yeah, that works pretty well. It's a shame there isn't like a way that you can put a dark box behind the comments, but they still seem pretty visible to me. Yes, I feel the same way. I think Hayley definitely comes across to me as the most truthful. But yeah, we all, our perception is always coloured by our own experiences, by our own biases and things like that. But I do like that. Yeah, they were on Hidden in the Fog's channel, but they're also, I have a playlist. So I've got 2 playlists for Lily and Jack. One is just Mullen Tea. I'll have to look that up. Sorry, got sidetracked again. But this is important for those of us who struggle with asthma or breathing issues. I have not heard of that, but you can bet I'm going to look that up. I somehow triggered off my asthma this week, so it's been making life even harder. So anything like that is a good thing. Yeah, I think what I like with Hayley is that she's not afraid to call a spade when it comes to Malaya. She will, basically, because she's only Malay. I shouldn't say only, because that, but she's Malaya's stepsister, so there's no blood ties between them, but they're still kind of family. So I guess she's got that little bit of separation that allows her to turn around and say, hey, guess what? Oh wow, I have, yeah, asthma. Oh, so do you actually have any growing BTTV? I've never heard of it. I wonder if it's called something different here in Australia, because sometimes we have things that are like coriander has a weird name in, not weird name, it's just a different name from us in the United States. So yeah, I'll have to look it up. Welcome in, Ben. Yeah, I thought I thought that there was a vertical shape in the title. Maybe it depends on what sort of device you're on. Okay, now people might need to start putting squirrels in the chat when I'm getting too squirrely and too off topic, because you know how easily I get distracted. Cilantro, that's right. Coriander leaf is called cilantro. I actually like cilantro. I like the sound of that better than coriander. I just think it's got this really nice ring to it. Like, I know now when I hear someone talk about cilantro, I know it's coriander. But for a long time, I used to think, what is this cilantro that I've never heard of? Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's jump in. This is Hayley on Hidden in the Fog. I should have actually added the link for... I'll add the link for both. So I will find this particular video on Susan's channel, but also I will add the link for this, where it is in my Lily and Jack Casefile playlist. But in the meantime, if you were looking for it, just go look in the Lily and Jack Casefile playlist, and it's I should have grabbed the thumbnail as well, but it's something like, you know, different sides of the family talk or something like that. You are so right. You're so right. The number of times people have to ask me what I'm talking about. Yes, definitely. You're so right, Karen. Okay, let's go.
I have a son of my own right, and Lily and Jack are my niece and nephew. But yeah, the subject of the blanket, it was found on a tree branch on Lansdowne Station Road in the evening of day one. It was used, or the other part of the blanket was used for a window or a door at the home, and it was thrown out, and this one just ended up on a tree, I guess. But
now it's interesting, isn't it, that early on, Hayley and that were given different stories in terms of where the blanket was used. Because now, help me get this right. I think Hayley was originally told that it was used over a window, but then Malaya and Daniel were saying it was used over a door, or have I got it the wrong way around? But it's another one of those things where someone's been told one story, and then the official version is different again. I'm the same. I think Hayley might have started questioning her memory with some things, in terms of she's come out quite confidently here on Susan's channel. And this is why I wanted to go back to this too, because she's come out quite confidently on Susan's channel with what she knows, what she remembers. And then she's pretty much fallen victim to what all of us have fallen victim to, the whole gaslighting and confusion over statements, to the point where there's, you know, a few times where now she's like, well, I think it's this. But I think going back to the beginning with Hayley, I trust everything that she says. And this was a fairly early conversation, so certainly what she's saying here, I don't think is coloured by misinterpretation or anything. Now, I hadn't heard that it had divided the room, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was another version of the story. because there certainly were, I mean, the different stories around this damn blanket. Not just around the stripper blanket, but around the blanket itself. Exactly. And all we have to do is look at the way they've tried to gaslight Belinda over what she remembers. But the thing is, Belinda's sister was there with her. Chelsea was there with her. So when Belinda says, Malaya told me that Justin was living in the RV, Belinda actually checked that with her sister as well, and her sister said, yes, I heard the same thing. When Belinda says, I heard a dog and it sounded like a big dog, Chelsea and Belinda's sister have both said, yeah, it looked like a big dog. It could have been, maybe it was a viewer's thought, and that's where we get a little bit confused as well, I think, where things enter into discussion and then also people run with it. It's like the missing 40 days of school thing, where I made that comment when I was looking at the first time Daniel did that DT show thing, and I was talking about the kids missing school, and all he had said was that they had missed school pretty much every week in the first 11 weeks of school. And my comment to that was, that's a lot of school, because if that became a regular thing and they missed a day every week, that could add up to 40 days a year. And now all of a sudden there's this story going around that they missed 40 days of school. Not verified. I've not come across it anywhere as a verifiable source. And the only place I can think of where I've come across it is, like I said, when I mentioned it in a live stream or in a video, and I said missing a day a week can end up as 40 days over a year, which is too much. Yes. I started trying to do a timeline with statements. It gets really confusing and really complicated because they change a lot. They come from different people. And some of the things that are out there, trying to find the source of them is a challenge. But certainly it's something I would like to still try. And I just realised I didn't welcome in Camilla, because I'm sure she's in here somewhere and I probably just can't see her. Actually, I wonder if now that I've started putting comments on stage, maybe at some point in time she'll appear on stage and I'll be able to see her. Yes. I do. One of the reasons why I do a lot of those little short videos at the start of my live streams where I play clips from other videos and stuff is because I'm trying to compile and I need to. Camilla is here, cool. I want to start putting little videos probably into a separate playlist that are compilations. So like I think I put out, I don't know if I made it live or not, I did a video of all the things Janie said in the woods. And I want to try and do that with every single thing for comparison. Because I think the contradictions, the backflips, all these things, we need to actually kind of really document them. Welcome in, Tammy. Good to see you in here.
I understand one of you took a photograph of the blanket and took it back to Malaya for identification.
Yes, Hayden and I did. Yeah.
So you called the police who went.
No, I still can't see her. Like just then, she left a comment. Because can you see her comment on the screen? I have no idea why YouTube is doing that to me. That's just cruel. You will notice. Yeah, definitely marking contradictions and changing stories in red. You will notice it kind of chops around a bit because when I did this audio, I put it through the silence remover thing first, and there were also a number of times when Susan was kind of off topic, which is great if you're wanting to just sit back and listen to the conversation. But if you're wanting to listen to, if you're just wanting the information like I do with this live stream, then I've clipped those bits out. Yes, she's in ninja mode. And like Grover is with you, Bonza. So true. So I'm going to run that little bit back just a little bit because there was something important there. And oh, no, I know what it was, the photo. I do have the transcript in front of me, but I haven't gone through. I was so tired last night, I haven't gone through and underlined anything. So I'm working with a raw transcript, essentially. Taking the photo. Camilla typed again and I still can't see her. That's just doing my head in. Okay. The story of who took the photo is kind of confusing because I think the general Hayden and I took it from her was more a case of I was with Hayden and he took the photo. And I think that when Hayley came on and did this with Susan, that she was trying to avoid bringing Emily up because you will notice that in this conversation she doesn't mention Emily at all. Because that's a good question. I wouldn't be surprised if Hayley maybe sent the photo to Sunny. Yeah, that could work, trying to sub and unsub. Yeah. Sorry, just reading Fern's comment as well. Yeah, see, Daniel said it was to stop a draft through winter. And they both said that, but there was also the conversation about the blanket being over the window. In terms of the photo, though, because Emily says she took the photo, but when you look at the documents, Hayden says he took the photo on Emily's phone. I wouldn't be surprised if Hayley has a copy of it and sent the copy to Sunny. Because we never really got told where that came from, which is why I wasn't going near it until it was shared by one of the mainstream media outlets just recently. Because I thought it was like a fake image. There's so many fake images out there. Yeah. And honestly, I kind of wish, well, no, I don't kind of, I definitely wish that when they released the documents, I wish they had basically blanked out her name. Because she was under 18. And until the documents came out, nobody knew her name. It was just Hayden's girlfriend. And I think law enforcement agencies need to really make sure that they are protecting minors when documents are being released. And I don't know why they didn't redact her name in the documents, because so many other agencies will make sure that they definitely redact the name of a minor. I know there was one instance with Maddie's case where we all got sent body cam footage and they hadn't checked it properly, and you could see the name of Maddie's best friend on the notepad really clear. And I blurred it out before I released my version. But other content creators just put it out. And I emailed one of the content creators who had put it out with the best friend's name on it and said, can you maybe pull that and put out a new version with it blurred? And she was like, yeah, no, can't be bothered. I think it's important, even as content creators, that we protect minors. Just having a look. Welcome in, Belinda Believes. Yeah, well, at least, Fern, you can catch the replays, because I don't make my lives members only when they finish. Yes, I did. Yesterday I made my lives private straight after. But that's because I wanted to edit them before many more people saw them. But you know, if you're here, you know. Okay, let's have some more.
I guess collected it.
No, the police were already down searching that area, but it was in such an open spot that cops were already down there and it wasn't seen earlier on. So it's just all a little mysterious, you know?
So was search and rescue in that area?
I don't believe on day one right down there right away. So I was there from the get-go of when everything started. But yeah, so I don't know how it was missed, because it was right on like the start of like a logging road or ATV trail right by the main Lansdowne Station Road.
I think there's a lot being put onto, I don't know how it was missed, because it was right on the edge of the road there. But when you actually look at the location, it was back a little bit. So if you are heading up a road and your focus is on looking for two little children, there's a good chance you're not going to be focusing on anything that could be hanging in the trees. Unless you're ADHD, then you're probably going to see every single thing. But in terms of, it should have been, people should have seen it straight away. Not always. Sometimes people just don't notice things like that. If you are focusing on looking up the hill, or if you are focusing on looking, along the side of the road, you might not see it. And it also depends on the direction you're going in. You might not notice it as easily if you're going up the hill on the other side of the road. I agree. I do not know why the cops have not silenced Scamnita. They know she's out there, but they haven't managed to shut her up. Yeah, look, I think there needs to be better advocacy for families, like extended family members, because you see this so often in cases where at the start there's a lot to talk about, and people do come out and talk and share their perspective. And we had that. We had Hayley, we had Logan, we had who I missed, Cheryl. And that was all well and good, and nobody was really being negative towards them back then. Yeah, there were questions, but no one was being really negative. And then now we've reached a point where there's not a lot of new stuff coming out. So all of a sudden you have these channels that, in order to get views, they have to create drama and come out with horrible negative things to draw the sort of people that like to watch that sort of content. And all of a sudden, anyone remotely connected to Daniel and Malaya is in the spotlight and being treated really badly. Yes, true. You know, things like that is certainly valid. But in terms of exposing themselves personally, Hayley, Logan, Cheryl, Jordan, Chance, we all know their full names. We all know their full identities. And I think something that I would recommend to anybody, if you ever end up in a situation like this, by all means, if you feel the need to come out and share something, just, you know, be very protective of your identity. Because there have been so many attacks. But I'm not sure how you balance that. Because, I mean, that said, I mean, we're so grateful that Hayley came out, that Chelsea came out, that Belinda came out. So I'm not saying they shouldn't, but I just wish there was some way that we could better protect family members who come out to do the right thing. I don't know, I'm just kind of spitballing, just kind of thinking that at the moment, because I just see it so often with cases, and it more so in this case, because I think there was a precedent set early on in terms of a lot of people were talking to Sunny, and it just kind of normalised this whole thing of family members, etc., just coming out and talking to content creators. Yeah, Brad, Justin. See, that's another one where I'm kind of a little bit annoyed, because Brad Wong was wary in the first place because he doesn't have a good relationship with police. So for him to actually do the right thing, come out as a witness, speak to police, and even to share information with media, I think witnesses especially, their identities should be protected. Welcome in. I'm not buying it. Yeah, I know I do a better job when I'm doing a analysis. I think it's just a different structure. I do like to relax a bit on lives and discuss the broader things with the case, not just what I'm looking at. But I will say that those of you who are in here regularly, when I get too off topic, maybe you do need to start putting squirrels in the chat just to remind me to get back on topic and get back to what we're meant to be talking about. Yes, and this is, this is information directly from Belinda. Brad actually came out much earlier than what it said in the documents. I think Belinda said it was day 2. And it took the RCMP a while to get back to him. This is what makes me so angry. This is definitely not, and BTTV knows exactly what I'm saying. You get people who are crucial witnesses in a case, who have a lot to say, and they get scared off by irresponsible content creators. And we just have to look at Kylie's case. There are many, many people out there who know a lot and are reluctant to talk to anyone because they don't want to put themselves in that position. The cops actually went and told Daniel what Brad had said. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, witnesses speaking out to the public definitely puts pressure on law enforcement. But I think when it comes to releasing documents and things like that, I think there needs to be more of an effort to redact the names of minors and to redact the names of witnesses. I think as content creators, we need to lift our game and just be very much aware of how we can protect family members or anyone that is connected to a case that wants to share their story. Because people have a right to share their story, and it can make a huge difference. I mean, a classic example, just going back to Kylie's place. My microphone's about to go flat, so I'm going to have to put on another... sorry, I have to do this quickly while I change the mic. The battery.
I'm a math man, yeah, I count cans, live in a trailer with rusted pants. Mom's dog's bald, it's got no flair, lost all its hair, and it don't care. Pink blankets, lies I've told again, footprints vanish like phantom friends. I'm Superman, came faster than wind, stronger than a chopper with a rotor spin. I rake my driveway for Mom shakes her fist. Super Daniel, yeah, I can't be missed.
I like this one better, I think.
Not allowed on Mama's ATV. She says I drive it recklessly. X wrote her name on my mirror in red. Now I'm searching cold, it's like I lost my head. Dirt roads, rivers, waist high deep. Virginia slins, I puff and leap. I'm Superman, Daniel, faster than wind, stronger than a chopper when the rollers spin. I rake my driveway for all shapes of fence. Super Daniel, yeah, I can't be missed. No, I on Mama's ATV. She says I drive it recklessly. X wrote her name on my mirror in red. Now I'm searching coverts like I lost my head. Dirt roads, rivers, waist high deep. Virginia slims, I puff and leap. I'm Superman, Daniel, arrogant and bold, strutting pop lines in the cold. Work 1 day a week at the sawmill grind. Super Daniel, yeah, I own my time. I'm Superman, Daniel, arrogant and bold, strutting pop lines in the cold. Work 1 day a week at the sawmill grind. Super Daniel, yeah, I own my time.
Even with me running through the woods over the head of the helicopters and head of the drones and stuff like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I agree. The reason I put Justin in as, part of the whole thing was because I just love watching the way he reacts to the song. You have nailed it there, BTTV. There are too many creators who just want to be content creators, and they don't want to be advocates or truth seekers. The number of people, I don't think it would, I don't know how to explain to people in terms of Kylie's case, just how many people there are out there who know so much but are afraid to speak up because of idiot content creators, for starters. Anyway, let's keep going with this. Sorry about the battery thing. I bought a $300 interface a few months ago, and for some reason I have this issue with it where when I try and use it, my mic doesn't record. So I'm still using my cheapo $100 iRig, which uses batteries and runs out occasionally. That's okay. Good to see you in here, Pause. I hope things are working out for you. Yeah, what has Kent got to do with this case? Interesting. Why did Janie thank Kent in her audio? That question has never been answered.
Dirt road, but yeah.
And the other half, right, was found in the garbage.
I believe so. I wasn't back at the house for that to know that, but that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, that's what Logan said. And yeah, so. And I mean, quite a ways down the road, like down the paved road from where they lived, up a dirt road, a good at least mile or two. So yeah.
Again, sorry about the gappy audio. So we had Logan here saying the same story, that it was found in the garbage. Because remember, after the DT show, Daniel has tried to change it to, no, it was left out on the railing. There are several instances where Daniel has tried to change a story, but if we go back and listen to what Logan has said, Logan has pretty much undone Daniel's stories. Yeah, I do. I definitely appreciate Susan gets a lot of people to interview on her channel. I just love the Nova Scotia accent. I was watching something completely away from this case, nothing to do with Lily and Jack. I don't think it was even on the internet. and I was watching something, and I think I was definitely with my sister, and I heard the classic boot, the a boot that Nova Scotians use, and I'm like, that person's from Nova Scotia, and my sister was just laughing at me. I do love Nova Scotian accents, that's for sure. Yeah, you know where I'm coming from, Paws. I know it is a bit of a bitty audio, and I probably should have edited it better, and I might go through and try and edit it better for tomorrow's live stream, because now that I'm listening to it, it's a bit of a pain in the bum, but it oot in a boot. I'm not even going to try. I know it's bad enough when people try Australian accents. But yeah, gotta love the Nova Scotian accent. It's just classic. There are so many accents that I just really love. I like to stir Kiwis. I like to tease Kiwis, but as for accents, they sound so much like that. Yeah, and I think we do that. Because I can, if I think about it, I can be far more ochre if I want to just really sound like real dinky die Aussie, which is not happening right now. I won't put that up on the screen, Bonza. I'm going to run this a little bit back and just listen again. A lot of what we're hearing here is a lot of stuff that I think is set in stone. We've heard this a lot, but it's worth just hearing it again from the source.
For that, to know that, but that's what I'm hearing. Yeah, that's what Logan said. And yeah, so. And I mean, quite a ways down the road, like down the paved road from where they lived, up a dirt road, a good at least mile or two. So yeah.
So she's talking about the location of the piece of blanket. And I think they said it was about 1 kilometre. Now, I did measure it on Google Maps, but it's hard to measure it on Google Maps because the road isn't dead straight. And it does seem to be a little bit less than 1 kilometre because I ended up a bit far further along. But certainly it's not something that would have been carried there. So, she's got a point. I still believe, and I know Mike MX disagrees with me vehemently on this, but I still believe that it blew off the back of a vehicle. Mike's saying, well, I checked the wind that day and it wasn't windy, so it couldn't happen. But if you're driving along a highway and you have a look where things have blown off vehicles or out of vehicles and stuff, you've got to think about the wind tunnel, and it would make sense that it would kind of go off to the side a bit. And depending on speed and all other sort of factors, then yes, it wouldn't be hard for a very light piece of blanket to get caught up in the wind tunnel for the vehicle and then fly into a tree and wrap around a tree branch. So, I mean, maybe it is planted, but I just think there's far too many sensitivities about this piece of blanket that make me think that it wasn't meant to be there. But I know most people seem to believe it's planted, but, it's not up to us to worry about it, is it? Because at the end of the day, RCMP have got it. They've done the forensic testing. they know what the situation is. So as much as we can speculate, as much as people would like us to believe that it was definitely planted, whether it was or not, at the end of the day, the RCMP know. And I wouldn't be surprised if the piece of blanket ends up being a crucial piece of evidence when charges are finally laid. Yeah, I meant to get the footage from the train in Ontario because it was frightening. This train was filmed from inside. It was a freight train apparently, so there wouldn't have been a lot of people in it. But looking at the footage, you would think there's no way they're getting that train out of there. All you could see in the windows was flames. Yeah, I agree. One of the things that really stood out to me in the DT channel, and the funny thing is, he's been all of a sudden in the conversations with Sunny and with Charmaine, he's now saying, oh, I interrupt because I've got ADHD. Like, BS. If you go back and look at every single interview, every single conversation that Daniel has done, we'll just forget the Charmaine and the Sunny ones for now. But every other single interview or panel discussion that Daniel has done, there's only one instance where he interrupted and spoke over the top of the person who was talking or questioning him. And that one instance is when he is talking to the DT guy about this strip of blanket. Oh, wow, footage of buses caught up in monster fires a few years back. Yeah, it's one of my biggest fears. I'll come back to that. Daniel DT, sorry, I'll call him DT rather. It's too confusing when you've got two Daniels. DT made a comment to Daniel that along the lines of, people might think that because the location of the blanket is on the way to your uncle's place, and I think he was trying to say that people might think that maybe it's been planted to make people look in that direction or something like that. But the moment he got it out as far as saying that people might think that because the bit of blanket is in the direction to your uncle's place, straight away Daniel butted in and took control of the conversation. That is the one and only time in all those instances, up until when he came out talking to Charmaine, that's the one and only time when he has essentially spoken over the person who's questioning him or talking to him. It was an immediate redirect, and it was so obvious, especially because it was not baseline behavior. It's not something that he would normally do. So to me, it really stood out. What you were saying, Bonza, about the footage of buses caught up in fires a few years back. When I was 7 or 8, we were at a camp, and it was in a bush area. And it was the last time we ever had a camp in that area in summer, because we ended up being surrounded by bushfires. We ended up spending the entire day, or the most of the day, sitting on an oval in the middle of the campground. And, me being ADHD, I could overhear the adults talking about how they were talking about possibly having to bring the army in to evacuate us. One of the most frightening experiences of my childhood. So when I see things like the train surrounded by flames and stuff, it makes me think how incredibly frightened those people must have been. Yeah, I am a bit squirreled. Let's keep going. Oh, what did I do? Whoops, that wasn't what I...
Well, you know, everything's touch and go. The subject is very touchy for family. Malaya's trying to live somewhat of a normal life. She shouldn't be expected to sit in the house and be miserable. She can have a life too, right? We don't know what happened. I only know from what I was told. I obviously wasn't there when the kids went missing.
So this is interesting, and I think when we compare this with her later conversation with Sunny, and thanks, Ernestine, that worked a treat, didn't it? It's like needing a teacher there to say, you know, Ninchi, get back to work. She said to Sunny about the whole drinking thing with Malaya and Hayden, and Malaya living her best life. I think here, I remember when this came out, and I do believe that she was essentially parroting what Cheryl had said. This was after the beach photo came out, and Cheryl had gotten onto Facebook and said that essentially, you know, Malaya's allowed to have a life. No, it's good though, Ernestine, because it does remind me not to keep the stories too long and not to get too sidetracked. And I do love squirrels. So behind the scenes, Hayley was essentially saying, because we heard the audio, that she really wasn't a fan of Malaya basically partying it up. But here, when she's talking to Susan, she's like, yeah, you know, she's allowed to have a life. Which definitely sounds to me like just repeating what Cheryl said. But yeah, that's the thing. And this is what people got so arced up about and still get so arced up about. Yes, you've got to get out of the house occasionally and do things for yourself. Because you can get yourself into that sort of self-imposed prison. But it just seemed like Malaya was really flaunting it. Just seemed like, especially with her and Cheryl heading to the beach, that just seemed really, really early. It just seemed far too early to be off at the beach, posting selfies. I mean, yeah, go to the beach. But don't post it as like a, you know, look at us at the beach. We're having a great time. It's that whole. It's yes, find a place that's, you know, that allows you to heal. But don't then put this image out there to the world of, look at me, I'm a party animal, or I'm loving being at the beach and just enjoying the sunlight and not even thinking about any stuff. You know, if you were going to the beach just for a bit of healing or something, I would think of that as being a private thing that you're not going to want to share with the world. as opposed to flaunting it. I mean, I know for me, when I was, close enough to just go for a quick drive to the beach, that was always my thinking space. But for me, it was I'd go to the beach and I'd go for a walk, and of course I'd have the dogs with me, and they loved that. But it just seemed, I don't know, it just seemed flaunting it. Yeah, now here's the other thing too. People are jumping on so many AI images with this case. I've stopped sharing any images that have been put out unless they've been put out by media. Because the number of images that are fake AI generated now in relation to this case has just gotten insane. That's what it is. It's just tone deaf. Go to the beach, have some healing time, but it just did seem really tone deaf to be posting it up for people like a trophy. Anyway, keep going with that.
She deserves to not be ridiculed as well, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not sticking up for anybody in the situation. I know as much as everybody else about what had happened with the children, right? So, yeah, it's to the point where it's 2 months too long. As family, like, we're hurting over this. Like, it's a lot. And I mean, there's been a lot of things going around that's very much misinformation. Like, people.
I wonder how Hayley and that are doing now that we're nearly at 15 months. Because it's so heartbreaking to hear her say 2 months is too much when we're listening to this nearly 12 months later. And I just want to point out, while she did come out and do this very public, let's not judge Malaya, the audio that came out where she was talking about Malaya and Hayden getting drunk and stuff like that, that was never meant to be public. That was leaked. So I just want to, in Hayley's defense, just point that out. She was trying to do the right thing here, trying to avoid creating gossip, I guess. I hope the full chat can be moved towards the top of the screen for the next live. So what's it doing? Can I move it? Let me have a look. It won't let me move it. I'm just trying to see how is it being problematic? I'm just looking. Okay, so I don't know. I'll chat with people after the live stream and figure out what it is that I need to fix to try and make the chat because I'm learning. This is only the second day of me adding in the vertical. Oh, cool. Thanks. Okay. So it's all good. BTTV will get me sorted out after the live stream because she's far better at all this than me. So it's all good. Welcome in, fair dinkum.
just wild in the Facebook groups. I've stayed, like, I'm in them, but I stay quiet because I have a son at home that I still need to keep life normal for him, right? But people are starting to figure out who I am, how I'm connected. So I figured, I would give my peace of mind and what I know, because people are starting to message and ask. But, I do just want to touch on a subject, though. The family altercation that happened in the driveway. I was there for that. So there's a big piece that Logan has left out, and I'm ready.
This has got to be one of the best bits of information about the altercation. Because when you listen to what Hayley says, and then you start to cross-check it with all the other things that have been said by other people, you realise that she really does sound like she's nailed it in terms of she's not giving quite a biased view that some other people have given. Remember, this is also mentioned in the documents. So, when we're cross-checking with Hayley, Daniel, Janie, Logan. And I think Cheryl talks about it as well. And also with the documents. But I have found Hayley seems to be the most accurate.
Share that, because we all know and have not said anything, but it's a very crucial point that they seem to be skipping over. So this was just before the briefing, if I can remember quite right here. We were all in the house and Dan was in the bathroom. And when I say we, I'm talking about my sister-in-law, her sister, Leia's mother, my partner, and we were all in the kitchen and we heard like things rustling around in the bathroom. We're like, what the hell? So my stepmom went and knocked on the door and was like, Dan, what's going on? Are you all right? Anyway, my sister-in-law went in and said she needs to use the bathroom. So he came out and he's kind of like hovering. So Shelby, Cheryl said I was her sister-in-law. It's like confusing, but Shelby's with my brother. She's my sister-in-law and Cheryl is Shelby's sister.
Okay, because this is where people always get confused. And I know last time I discussed it, the confusion got added to because Sunny had a bit of a confusion moment and came in and corrected me with the wrong information. First of all, I also want to point out that Daniel has never denied keeping his rugs in his man kit. I spoke about this some time back in a live stream. But I'm going to break it down. So we'll put Malaya at the centre. Malaya's half-brother is Hayden. And Hayden is Hayley's half-brother. So Hayden and Hayley have the same father. But Hayley is not a blood relative to Malaya. And then she talks about Cheryl and Shelby, who are sisters. Shelby, when Hayley is talking about her brother in terms of Shelby and saying Shelby is her sister-in-law, Hayley is talking about her other brother, not Hayden. So you have Shelby, who is with Hayley's other brother, not Hayden, and Shelby and Cheryl are sisters. I think we've probably got that clear by now anyway, but I know that it gets confusing. So I just thought I'd stop to just clarify it for anyone who may be still confused. I believe this story that Hayley is telling. Hayley, and I've said this from the get-go, Hayley strikes me as someone who sees everything, observes everything, is aware of more than what people actually credit her for. She's that person in the room that people discard and don't realise that she's got the whole situation sized up 100%. Oh, look, the confusion trying to figure out relationships, how people fit it in. Because when you look at Malaya's extended family and the little branches going out, it really is confusing. Took me a while to get my head around it. Yes, if it would depend what was being used, wouldn't it? So, possibly, but it really does depend what was being used at the time. But that's a really good point. Just having a look at these. Okay, I think I'll just keep going. I think people have got things figured out. Yes, Amy, Virgos are analytically observant. That is me, 100%. And you will notice Chelsea is the same, because Chelsea is Virgo as well. And she's got that whole sees everything, understands everything. I don't know if Hayley is a Virgo or not, but she's definitely on the ball.
So yeah, so like he was wrestling some things around in the bathroom, and we went in to kind of investigate after him, and there was drugs. Drugs was involved, and that's what fueled the family altercation in the driveway. And I'll be the one to say that because I got so freaking mad.
It's also possible, yes, you can snort a lot of things. We've heard the Anita video. It's also possible that because Hayley was leading up to talking about the altercation in the driveway, that maybe they did smell something in the bathroom, or maybe there was residual smoke or something. That was kind of secondary to what she was saying here. So I think in terms of this was the lead up to the main thing of discussing the altercation in the driveway. She was just laying the groundwork. So maybe she's spoken to other people about this before, and maybe she's someone who people are like, just, get on with the story. So I'm not concerned that we don't have the additional detail. No, she doesn't tell us how she knows there were drugs. And it would have been a good time to ask that question. I have noticed that over the time that Susan's been getting people onto her channel and having discussions with people on her channel, if you go back and listen to these early discussions, as opposed to her discussions with Belinda, I think she's kind of thought about these things more, and she does ask a lot more clarifying questions these days. Honestly, I could never do it. I'd be hopeless. I would never do anyone justice trying to bring them on my channel, because I probably wouldn't even be able to come up with the questions in the first place. Yeah, I feel the same way, Karen, that nobody ever... Yeah, the whole not brushing the hair out of Lily's eyes and things like that. Yeah, the totes were for firewood for kindling. And it looks like the kids were having a ball playing with it. Hopefully there were no splinters. And I guess that makes sense because Daniel probably was collecting that sort of kindling stuff from his work.
This was found out because then I said to him, I said, that's exactly why you're acting the way you are, running around like a madman, acting like you're doing everything and everybody's just sitting back, like relaxing. Like nobody was, but nobody was running around like a chicken with their head cut off because we weren't on drugs. Do you know what I mean? But that's what the altercation was, because I was like, I confronted his family. It was actually me. And I said, what the hell, guys? Like, what's going on here? Like, why is that involved? My sister broke down and she admitted that he's been on it for 2 years or so. And yes.
It's interesting that the story evolved from Hayley saying this to when Daniel and Janie were trying to deflect from the questions about Daniel possibly using rugs. When Daniel was trying to say, I don't do that, they were telling everyone that the whole altercation came from people blaming Daniel. What makes that interesting is that if the truth of the matter is that the altercation was over Daniel using rugs, and the deflection has been the story of this family blamed Daniel for being responsible, that's a kind of leakage, essentially. It's like when they say, when Daniel's like, you know, they're accusing me of being a murderer. Because very few people, well, I wasn't aware of anyone when he first started saying that was actually outright saying it. Yeah, free samples from the mill. And, you know, if you're working a place like that, then you should. Well, he claims that he heard a scream in the woods. And that version is he heard children screaming and then he heard a scream. But I do love this description of him running around like a chicken with his head cut off, because that's what he tells us in the news stories. Running ahead of the helicopters and running through waist-deep water and Superman Dan. I'd love to know. I would love to know if Malaya and Hayley talk now. Because I've noticed that the last time Hayley came out anywhere with Cheryl and that was Jack's birthday, I believe. And I think there's a few things, and I can't think offhand exactly what they are, but there are certainly things that make me think that Hayley and Cheryl probably aren't really talking a lot anymore, which probably means that Hayley and Malaya aren't talking a lot. I don't think it helped the situation for Hayley when the turkey guy released the audio and Hayley was criticising Cheryl. So I would be very, very interested. Yeah, no, I don't think she doesn't seem to have been anywhere. Just trying to grab that. She doesn't seem to have been anywhere since Jack's birthday that I can think of. Because she went to the first search. She was at the first search with Cheryl and everyone. But not since. We have not seen her with Cheryl or Malaya or Cindy or anyone. And when you look at all the interviews that were done at the start of this year, we had Cheryl and Angeline sitting together doing their interview. You didn't have Hayley there with them. It would be interesting. It would be interesting to know my thoughts are that possibly Hayley's been put on the outer after that audio was put out. Just going to have a look back up and see if there's anything I've missed. Oh, this is... Sorry, doing a bit of a yawn there. That's the thing. There's a lot of instances where people say things, and this is one of those examples, and Daniel inadvertently finds a way to confirm it. But I also want to point out that, and someone said in here, you look at those early interviews that Daniel did, he was definitely on something.
They all got very mad when that came about, and they all kind of said, you know what, we already knew that. Well, if you knew that, why the hell is there children in a home with somebody like that? Like, why aren't you protecting the kids that way? Like, do you know what I mean? So that was the big piece that Logan and whoever else, this Darren guy that is related to Malaya's side, I mean, he's just spewing a bunch of stuff that's not 100%.
That was on the Saturday.
Welcome in, Chelsea. Good to see you here. I don't know why Darren even would need to talk about the altercation in the driveway because he wasn't there. It's insane.
Yeah, that was just as Malaya was going down to the press conference. Yeah. So Malaya broke at the end of the driveway. She was crying, and I was like, what's going on? And she wouldn't talk. And I looked at her and I said, now's the time to talk. Like, get fucking talking. Like, what's going on? Yeah. And she broke down, and that's what it came about, that he was doing that. So that fueled the family fight that there was. And I mean, yes, Janie or whatever her name was did go at Cheryl. Logan was trying to fight everybody in the driveway. They kicked us off the property because we found out something that nobody was supposed to find out, right? Yeah, just before.
I really need to do another comparison with all that. I think now that we've had more audio come out, but definitely, the entire side of Daniel's family giving a completely different version, and then Hayley coming out and saying this. Welcome in, Dawn. Good to see you. The vibe that I got from the moment I heard Hayley talking about this, and this ties in with when I look at the statement that Malaya put out as well. It wouldn't surprise me that if Malaya did dabble in things, but that for her, it is far more important for her family to see her in a positive light. So in terms of Hayley had just caught Daniel using rugs, Malaya would have been able to read Hayley's reaction and tell that it was something that Hayley was really, really PO'd about. There's no way she would admit to her if she was using anything as well herself. And when we listen to the way in Malaya's statement that it's this real sort of deflection, like she absolutely has no idea whatsoever, even though the narrative was identical. It was a constructed narrative that both of them gave, her and Daniel. I think, I just think that, no, I forgot. I got sidetracked. I read a comment. No, it's gone. The squirrels just went and stole whatever it was I was about to say. Oh, talking about Malaya. That's right. Sorry. I'm not sure if you can hear her, but Amira is snoring about as loud as she possibly can right now. So I've got that in the background distracting. And then I read a comment in chat that's like, oh, that's interesting. And my brain just went completely out the window. I think what I'm trying to say here is I think she has a sort of personality where, in terms of things that would make her look bad, if they come out in terms of things that about Daniel that would make Malaya look bad, if she had some involvement, I think regardless or whether she was a part of it or not, she's going to distance herself. Yeah, Darren does have a finger in the pie for so many reasons. But anything he has to say about the altercation in the driveway is obviously hearsay that he's repeating from Janie or Daniel. I wish people
had left. Malaya planned to, the baby was going to go with Logan. There was a lot of kind of give me the baby, I'm taking the baby, and then you can come too. And it was kind of like, Malaya, I spoke to her and I was like, why don't you go with your mom? She wasn't made to go with her mom. As her sister, I could see what was right and what was wrong.
That pinging is in the background for the audio. It's not me doing it. Again, that feels more like the situation that we were looking at in terms of, I think Malaya was in a situation where she had, there was a bit of people pleasing going on, I think. She had Logan there, and you've heard Logan. She's not afraid of coming forward. I think Logan could be an extremely assertive person and probably someone who isn't going to take no for an answer. And then also you've got Janie there, you've got Daniel there. And of course, because the baby was Daniel's daughter, then obviously Daniel and Janie are going to be having an input as well. So I think there was probably a lot of pressure being put on Malaya. And I think Hayley stepping in may have been, something that Malaya needed in terms of just giving her permission to do what was right for her. I think in this instance, I know Hayley always talks about herself as being Malaya's sister, so I guess when you consider she would have been pretty young when Cindy and Joe got together. So I think I can understand that perspective. But I do think she is also coming at it from with a bit more separation. Because we know from listening to the conversation with Sunny that she is eyes wide open. And that's the thing. I do think you've got to take into account that there are some pretty, what's the word? I don't want to use it. I don't want to come across in a negative way. Just say pretty loud people in Daniel's family. I think from listening to Logan on Susan's channel, I think Logan could be quite assertive when she wants to be. I know we know that Malaya had her family there as well. But also we have to take into account the coercive control between Daniel and Malaya. So if what Daniel wanted was for Malaya to take the baby to Logan's, although seems like the original plan was that they didn't even want Malaya to go with the baby. So when we know how manipulative Daniel can be, when you add in his cousin, who sometimes comes across as like his guard dog, then Malaya may have felt that she had no choice. And I didn't get a chance to address this. I'm really sorry that people are harassing you over ridiculous rumors. I'm so sick of hearing about subscribers being bullied and being accused of being people they're not and things like that. When did we get to this point? Why can't we just be worrying about Lily and Jack? Yeah, I do think in this situation the coercive control was a huge factor. Because we've seen Daniel in action. And if you add Logan into that equation, I do feel that Malaya probably felt she had no choice. So, yeah, definitely Bonza. So I think Malaya having the panic attack during the briefing, my personal belief is that the briefing was intended to basically get a reaction out of Daniel and Malaya, kind of test the water. And they might have said some things that were intended to try and get a reaction. But I think if Malaya was already feeling under pressure about the baby going with Logan, then that would have been enough to send her into that panic attack. And I think it was fortunate that she had Hayley say this to her and that she then had Cindy with her in the ambulance to basically turn around and say, hey, look, it's okay. Yeah, Logan does come across to me as like Daniel's bulldog, his guard dog. So I think that definitely Malaya probably felt like she had no choice in the matter until everything started falling apart, and then Hayley saying, you don't have to do this, and then whatever Cindy said to her in the ambulance. Because the other thing too, if you look at the situation, if let's say hypothetically that in the briefing law enforcement were trying to push buttons with Daniel and Malaya, if Malaya's having a panic attack, now I am certain that Malaya has not told her mother anything about the case. So if she's sitting there in an ambulance having a panic attack and her mum's like, it's okay, what's wrong? She's going to search for something to grip onto that is credible, that she can say to her mother, that's not going to incriminate her, if that makes sense. So she's not going to sit there in the ambulance and, just speaking hypothetically, say, this happened to the children, and that's why I'm having a meltdown. So she's got to grab for the next best thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if, having this meltdown in the ambulance, she said to Cindy that they want the baby to go to Logan's place and I don't want that to happen. And that may have been part of the reason for them basically loading them up and taking them. Speculating, because obviously we've not heard much of Cindy. We've heard very little of Malaya. So this is only basing it on what we can draw from the little bit of information we've had. She does come across as having quite an aggressive personality. When you listen to the way her and Cheryl butt heads, it certainly does come across that way. And if you are in a coercive relationship, like Malaya was, and your partner's cousin, who is quite dominant, quite aggressive, is siding with him and saying this is what's going to happen, it would be really hard to fight against that. Just a clapping seal. Are you talking about Patty? Yeah, it was Logan that called the kids animals. I would love to put that up on screen, little black bear, but I won't. Oh, it's on screen anyway, isn't it? Anyway.
In that moment. And they were trying to persuade her to stay with the baby. And I told her that she really needs to sit and think what's best for her and the baby at this time. And she ended up going with her mom. And that was willingly. It was nobody talking her in to go. I'm just like, you have a home. You'll be treated right. There will be food. There will be love. Like, you know what I mean? I do gotta jump off. I have some things to do, but I'll catch you later.
Okay, I'll pause there before, I can't even remember who comes on next, and I will play a little bit of whoever's next because I'm kind of on a roll here. What I want to say here is in terms of, Hayley saying, you do have a family, you do have somewhere to go. Sometimes in a coercive control situation, people don't see that there are alternatives. So saying that away from Daniel, away from Logan, is giving someone permission to do what's right for them in a situation where, after several years of coercive control, they've been trained that they're not allowed to do what's right for them, if that makes sense. So Hayley actually made a good choice in saying that. Now, had it not been for the situation where Malaya was then with Cindy in the ambulance, she would not have left, I don't think. Because even though you can have a conversation like that with someone who is caught up in coercive control, the moment they're back within the sphere of the person who has control, that little bit of power that you've given them, they lose again. I'm not sure how well I'm explaining that, but it's just like sometimes just a little word like that can be enough to help someone understand that they are allowed to make a choice. People are still getting confused. Okay. Hayley and Hayden have the same dad. Malaya and Hayden have the same mum. So Joe, when he got with Cindy, already had Hayley. And then when him and Cindy got together, Hayden came along. Malaya has a different dad from Hayden, because her dad and Cindy were separated before Joe and Cindy ended up together. I might have to do a chart for people to just help people understand. So you've got Henry Brooks, who's Malaya's dad. He left the scene. And Joe Smith, I think. Joe, anyway, can't remember. I'm not sure if that's right. He left the scene. Joe and Cindy got together. Joe already had 2 children. Hayley and Hayley's older brother, also Joe. And then Hayden was Joe and Cindy's son, or is Joe and Cindy's son. It is confusing. It is very. And then, yeah, and then you've got Darren dating Logan's grandmother, just to add to the confusion.
If that's okay.
So that's what I stated as well. Because when I got there, I said, do you want me to stay with the baby? You can go look. She goes, I'm going to stay with the baby. Okay, said whatever. So I went looking.
And now we're on to Logan. Yeah, now that I've got my head around it, I will do a like a mind map for people, which I'll share in the next live stream, because it does get really confusing. Okay, so we are on to Logan. I'm going to backtrack it a little bit, because she's making it sound like, you know, she's being all nice and offering and stuff like that. But I do think that Logan was quite an assertive person. Yeah, Chelsea, I'm definitely learning there are a lot of blended families around the Maritimes, that's for sure. It does take a while to wrap your head around it, definitely. Yeah. It's not a bad thing. You know, my mother was from a blended family, and you know, you get that. It works. Quite often it works. I mean, it's definitely an adjustment, but you know.
So that was the next thing, was when when she was told that the baby had to leave the residence. She's exactly told she did not have to leave the residence. They just wanted the baby off the residence, like from the residence, as like this whole scenario isn't something a kid should be a part of. So the baby was going to come to my house. So
when she's talking about this, it's all very, not saying who said what in terms of the baby shouldn't be at the residence. Thank you very much, Pause. Very much appreciate that. So it does appear that she may have been told that the baby shouldn't be on the property. But I've got to wonder what exactly was said to Malaya, and if people from Daniel's family ran with that to add a bit of pressure. In terms of, it might have been not such a dramatic suggestion as what we hear, but then Logan might have been like, well, this is a good excuse for me to get away from this search area because I don't want to go searching. And Daniel might have been afraid that Malaya's family were going to get their claws into the baby. Because when you listen to the way he talks about baby M, he so often slips up and has to correct himself and say our baby when he's already said his baby. So I suspect that while there probably might have been, you know, suggestions that, yeah, you know, she probably shouldn't be here, that maybe it is possible that there was extra pressure put on to basically make sure that baby M was away from Malaya's family. Could be wrong. It's just a bit of speculation.
she's never been apart from the baby. Like, she's meadow. I said, you're more than welcome to come too. If not, I am comfortable. I have 3 kids of my own. Like Malaya, I can take care of this kid.
Yeah, the way she's saying that there certainly makes it sound like Malaya really wasn't being given a choice in the situation. So I think that probably it was a situation where you have the coercive control from Daniel and Logan backing it up. It really does sound like the message, if you break it down, was she's coming with me. Whether you like it or not, you can come too if you want to. Yeah, I have reservations given that Logan referred to the children as animals. That said, you know, her children aren't missing, so you know, we're seeing one side of Logan. We've never had any reports to suggest that she isn't a good mother, but she comes across as a rather abrasive person. So I would certainly be reluctant if I had a kid to entrust my kid to her or any of my nieces or nephews. Oh, and she did, this kid. Definitely no emotional connection to baby M there. I had missed that bit. But it was definitely very assertive. Basically, the baby's coming with me, whether you like it or not. And if you want to come too, you can. I'm just going to run it back a bit because that's how it comes across. And yeah, this kid.
Off the resident, like from the residence, as like this whole scenario isn't something a kid should be a part of. So the baby was going to come to my house. So she's never been apart from the baby. Like she's meadow. I said, you're more than welcome to come too. If not, I am comfortable. I have 3 kids of my own. Like Malaya, I can take care of this kid. Like I can take care of the baby, no problem. So first the baby.
You know what else stands out to me? I'll come back to that in a sec. Okay, hang on. Sorry, just a bit of a I've had my asthma's been playing up this week, so it's making me occasionally lose my voice a little bit too. What I've noticed, so I just had to collect my thoughts again. What I've noticed too is that now we've all learnt, this far in, we've learnt to make a point of referring to her as the baby or baby M. But Logan's not avoiding saying her name. She's happy to say her name when she's saying, you know, Malaya says, you know, meadow. But the rest of the time she's referring to her as the baby. I don't think there was much of a connection between Logan and baby M. I think at the time MBM didn't want to leave, but was told by CPS the baby had to go. So Logan stepped up, and later at the briefing, she changed her mind and left. The baby was taken. Malaya and the baby left after the altercation. So this was in the afternoon. There was the altercation in the driveway. And straight after that, they went to the briefing. And it was at the briefing that Malaya had the panic attack. Ended up in the ambulance with Cindy and left directly from the briefing. After the briefing, Cheryl and others, I think Hayley as well, went back to the house to collect things. They went back to collect Malaya's phone. And it sounds like they were also looking for the car keys for Malaya's vehicle. And then there was some sort of secondary altercation again, which was when they left without the vehicle. If that clears up that part of the timeline, and that's from just going through everyone's statements and stuff. I strongly believe that Daniel had the car keys. I believe that when Cheryl and Hayley went back to collect the phone and the car keys, that there's no way Daniel was going to give it to them. Good to see here, Grover. Bonza, if you look at the screen, you can see Grover. Yeah, that's a good question. Who was maybe Cindy was holding baby M at the briefing. I agree. Daniel did look like he was genuinely surprised. Sorry, Daniel does. Even when he talks about it now, he sounds like he was genuinely surprised about Malaya leaving. But I do think Malaya was made to feel like the only option was for baby M to go with Logan. I don't think at that point in time there was any suggestion of baby M going with any of Malaya's family or anything like that. Okay. So you didn't know there was going to be a briefing. You said that you missed it by about 5 minutes. Something about Wade. I'm trying to remember. I only listened to this the other day. So Belinda and Chelsea missed the altercation because they know when it's safe to head for the hills. And welcoming Belinda also. Yes, I think that definitely. I'm going to get some rest. Pause. Good. Thank you for coming in. Definitely, I think that would have been a part of it. Because up until that point in time, up until all of a sudden Malaya had family there with her, cool, and I'll come back to that in a sec. I think up until that point, when Malaya suddenly had family around her, Daniel had isolated Malaya. So up until when Lily and Jack went missing, he didn't have people from Malaya's family to interfere with the level of coercive control that he had. So it really would have come as a shock to him. Oh, right. I hadn't realised that you went in a separate vehicle, Charles, and now that makes sense. Okay, so Wade came out of the trailer and got in his car, and that's when you were like, yep, let's get out of here. And Chelsea left 20 minutes beforehand. Right. Now I'm on the same page. Now I'm there. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. It's all very interesting, and just trying to solidify a timeline can get so confusing at times.
Was just going to be the baby, and then she decided she was going to come with me. So, but then something changed, and we were at the briefing. Her mother said something to her, and then I had to take everything out of my car and put it in her mother's car. And like I said, she had this whole plan, like she was going to drive her car into my house, and she was going to, and then the plan changed. I'm going to take the car to my mother's, like I'm going with my mother. Well, she didn't even come back for the car.
So presumably the plan was to collect the car. I was going to ask if your partner was there, but I wasn't sure if I should. So it was you and your partner went there and searched. Cool, thank you. The briefing would have been down on Lansdowne Station Road, I would imagine, because that's where the base was. Daniel keeps talking about Malaya's car being pretty much at the beginning of either Lansdowne Road or Lansdowne Station Road. When you look at all the media footage, I think possibly it was a situation of maybe that was as close as her car could get, or Daniel might have been feeling a bit insecure already and had parked her car out of reach. But Logan's saying she didn't even come back, didn't even get her vehicle. I think definitely Malaya would have been too upset. From the accounts we get, I think it sounds like it was a panic attack, in which case Malaya wouldn't have been right to drive. And from what we're hearing, it sounds like Cheryl or Hayley were meant to be collecting the car and driving it. Now, given that Cheryl comes across as a no mess business kind of person, I do believe the only reason that car was left there was because they were not given the keys for that car. But Logan's giving it the same sort of perspective that we had from Daniel in terms of, oh, it was just left there, you know. Wasn't worried about it. But I do think there's more to the story there. Oh, hello. Sorry. The dogs are waking up. And I just discovered that Tarka's got her head on Amira's bed, which is nearly as big as the bed. So Amira doesn't have much room, but they seem happy enough.
The search and rescue had her car towed to wherever she was because they left the car. That's how much of a hurry that was to leave. Malaya stayed at the house.
I'd like to know if it was search and rescue that had it towed there for her, or if Malaya or Cindy or someone actually arranged to have it towed because she couldn't get the keys. Because to me it seems like search and rescue would have been far too busy. When you listen to the dispatch, they were all working 12-hour shifts. So worrying about Malaya's car probably wasn't a priority. And not only that, like I said, in all the media stuff that you can see, there were searchers' cars all the way along Lansdowne Station Road, almost right back to the corner. So I don't think that it would have been a priority for them to worry about Malaya's car, because there would have been so many other vehicles along there anyway. Okay, there was a question here. Oh, right, the question of who had baby M during the interview. Oh, that's a good question. Was anyone other than Daniel driving Malaya's car? I think I was just about to say that. Yeah, Belinda didn't even see Daniel that day. He was off doing the Daniel thing. He was off being Superman Daniel, running ahead of the helicopters and through the waist-deep water. So, yeah.
At the residence Friday night.
When did Malaya's mother arrive at the house?
So she arrived Friday. She was there before I got there Friday when they went missing. I'm not sure the exact time. We all tried to figure that out. I'm not sure.
Did Malaya's mother stay overnight there?
I am unsure, but she was there in the morning when I got back.
This whole story of Cindy got there within 16 minutes or something of the RCMP arriving. When you look at the timeline in terms of missed phone calls and things like that, when you look at the fact that Cindy is saying that she only found out the children were missing because her mother contacted her because she'd been outside when Malaya had tried to ring, I just don't buy the story at all. And I think this is another situation where we're going to discover down the track that RCMP well and truly know the truth of this. And it was an attempt to basically throw Malaya and Cindy under the bus. Malaya said Daniel had been out searching since the children disappeared. And he makes those same claims too, doesn't he? I was out the whole time for those first couple of days. Yeah, it definitely gives the impression that the Mackenzies and the Martells were not very welcoming. It's that that kind of small town feel thing too. When you live out the back of Whoop Whoop, it's like people kind of get used to their space. So regardless of the situation, and I do get the impression that very few of Daniel's relatives really were that close to Lily and Jack. But regardless of the situation, it still would be a bit confronting to live somewhere that is somewhat isolated, where mostly it's just you and your family, your extended family, and then to suddenly be bombarded with all these extra people around you. So, I think while they certainly didn't appear welcoming, I think we actually have to take into account too that we're talking about a situation that was stressful all round. Daniel did not park the car. It was Daniel that parked it where it was. That does not surprise me in the least, and I'll put that up because I know that you're in the vertical, so people might not see it. That has been my belief from when I heard him talking on the DT show. I certainly felt like with Malaya's mum being there, with her grandmother being there, with, all these people suddenly turning up that Daniel had isolated Malaya from. If you are the controlling person in a coercive control relationship, and you've worked very hard to isolate the person that you have control over, and suddenly you are surrounded by all those people that you've isolated her from, you're going to step up your measures to make sure that you can maintain control. So it wouldn't surprise me that the car was deliberately left out of the way. Oh no, this is something that I'm not sure that I was aware of. Justin was at the briefing. That is very interesting. I believe the briefing was at the base, like where the operations center. Now, there were different operations centers, but I think it was the main one. Yeah, I think it was Lansdowne Station Road. I think some of the search teams had their own operations centers, but I think for the most part, everything was based on Lansdowne Station Road. So, a little distance away. There's some really good comments here. But that's on him parking at the marsh. That was the Friday. That's when RCMP first arrived. He spoke about parking it at the marsh. In terms of where it was left when Malaya left, it was, Daniel says, oh, shush. I all I can think is it was either end of Lansdowne Road or end of Lansdowne Station Road. Okay, Daniel said him and Malaya went together to the briefing. There's another good comment up here. Just trying to say, I've lost it. Oh, right. So the news clip when the head of the search and rescue was patting his arm, you can see Justin back on. Nice observation. I think for many of us, we've seen very little of Justin, so we probably wouldn't have easily recognised him, but because you've seen him in the flesh, that's an interesting observation. Yeah, Daniel's wallet was in the vehicle, so it would make sense that him and Malaya did travel down there together. I think either Cheryl or Hayley specifically have stated that when they went back to the trailer, it was to get the phone and the keys, and that the intention was that they were going to take the car. There's definitely audio of that, and it might be Hayley. So the intention was that someone from Malaya's family was supposed to be collecting the car. So I definitely think that he held back the keys. What news station? Good question, but if you have a look at my Jack and Lily playlist, the Casefile playlist, you'll be able to find it in the first video of all the news stories. So if you scroll through the first video that I made where I put all the news stories together, you should find it in that one, I believe. If it's not in that one, it'll be in the second one. But you'd be able to see it just by scrolling through, because you'd be looking for the visual. You're under the impression he didn't have the keys? It is possible. By that time, Malaya couldn't be with the baby unsupervised. That's why she went with Cindy, I believe. Well, given that it was at the briefing, it is quite possible that there was something said. Yeah, who would want to walk? The other thing to take into account too is that the command centre was after the steep part of Lansdowne Station Road. So it wouldn't have just been walking from Gairloch Road around to Lansdowne Station Road. There was also that steep hill. So I probably would have done the same, especially since they had the baby. Because, you know, carrying a baby up and down steep hills wouldn't be fun. So it makes sense for them to have taken the car, in my opinion. Just looking at people's comments, seeing if I've missed anything. I will definitely look for that news clip for tomorrow's live stream, and I'll just make myself another big note. Sorry, I'm writing and talking at the same time. But I will look for that news clip to share tomorrow. Yeah, I think you've got to remember it's not flat terrain, because not only would you have the steep hill, and I'll grab some footage of that as well, where you see the searchers walking up the hill, because that gives you a really good perspective of how steep Lansdowne Station Road gets before you go up to the base. But it's not just the walking up that steep hill to get there. When they were heading back, they would have had to have walked up the hill to the trailer. And also, you know, you're walking along that stretch of Gairloch Road, which doesn't look like there would have been a lot of room on the side of the road for pedestrians. So there's probably a lot of reasons for choosing to drive there. And certainly we're talking about a 16-month-old baby. Carrying a 16-month-old baby. Yeah, they're light at first with the first minute or so. But if you're walking and carrying a baby, they get heavy pretty quickly. So yeah, it makes sense to me that they would take the car around there. Daniel leaving the car there after the briefing, that's what doesn't make sense to me. Unless if he was kind of wanting to try and stop Malaya from leaving, or if he was kind of in a bit of a panic, perhaps from the location of the briefing, it might have been quicker to cut through the woods and just head back to the trailer by cutting through the woods and not worrying about the car. Yeah, that's the other side of it too. To get to the briefing, you'd want to get there quickly. And they may not have had a lot of notice in terms of, yeah, we're available now for the briefing. Because you listen to the dispatch and it sounds like, it does sound like it wasn't something that was like, you know, long-term planning, like, you know, at this time we're going to have a briefing. So yeah, it's we're talking about a situation where you've got 2 children missing. It makes sense to me to drive to the briefing. Well, they had to have given them some pre-warning because Daniel was hiding out all day. But I think it wouldn't have been like a really, really long time frame. Because, like I said, part of the idea for the briefing, in my opinion, would have been to give them information to see how they reacted. So, with that in mind, they wouldn't have wanted them to have too much time to wrap their head around it all mentally. In my opinion, I could be wrong. I could be way off base with that. But it just does, from listening to the dispatch, just from what I know about how these sort of things work, I do think that it wasn't like, they might have had like an hour or 2 hours notice. It wasn't something like they were told in the morning, can you come here at 5 o'clock? Maybe, perhaps. Pure speculation on that, though. I think I've covered most stuff. Yeah. I would imagine you and Belinda certainly would have wanted to attend, and if Justin was attending, it sounds like it was definitely not just Malaya and Daniel. And well, Cindy was there. Which again makes you think that it probably was short notice. I hadn't thought about that. I'm not surprised that it bothered you. Because, in my mind, because of the whole Baby M story, Daniel story, I completely discounted the fact that Cindy was there also. And now Belinda's telling us, well, Justin was there as well. And Logan must have been there because she was saying, well, I had to get the stuff out of my car and put it in Cindy's car. So that to me says Logan was at the briefing, Cindy was at the briefing, Justin was at the briefing. Thanks, BTTV. So, yeah, I wonder, maybe it was really short notice. Maybe after the altercation, they decided, let's get them together and push some buttons, and you guys had already left. Or do you think that Malaya might have just chosen not to tell you? When you came back from searching before you left, did you get any time to chat with Malaya before you left, after you'd been out searching? Or was it a situation where she was kind of surrounded by family and so you're kind of like not really able to have much of a conversation with her? Is that when the prayer thing was happening? Or was it... I'm just trying to wrap my head around that. Because is that possibly the situation that no, the altercation was on the Saturday afternoon. So you just had a few minutes with Malaya. It is quite possible that... Yeah, the timeline confuses me too. I'm so glad we've got Belinda and Chelsea to clarify so many things, because I think there's a lot of things that we'd still be scratching our heads over if we didn't have help from Belinda and Chelsea over it. So, Belinda or Chelsea or both, did you think that they found out about the briefing after you left, perhaps? Or do you think it's just a situation where Malaya might not have gotten around to mentioning it? Yeah, there was an altercation before and after the briefing. So It sounds like the main altercation was the one that happened before the briefing, when there were accusations being thrown around. And then they went to the briefing. Malaya left with Cindy, and it sounds like Cheryl and Hayley and who knows else went back to the trailer to collect some of Malaya's things. So they went back, according to Hayley, they went back for Malaya's phone and Malaya's car keys, and got the phone and not the keys, and there was some sort of altercation around that. Yeah, you think she never thought to mention it. There's probably so much going on in her brain that day. That, yeah, it could have just been a situation of it just didn't come into her mind at the time when she was speaking to you. Certainly, you know, when you're surrounded by heaps of people and people having conversations, you also kind of tend to forget who you've told what. Like, it would have been a stressful situation regardless of her involvement. She was still clearly under stress. So, yeah, that makes sense that she probably just didn't think to mention it. So much to think about. Yeah, thank you so much, Belinda and Chelsea, for helping us to try and wrap our heads around this. Well, yes, Hemi, that does happen when you're lying as well. So true. And it's good to see you in here. Yeah, I think I need processing time. I think I'm going to finish this live stream for now, because there's a lot that I want to process just around this whole, what we've discussed so far. And we're heading up for 3 hours. I'm surprised the dogs aren't pestering me to go out. Oh, okay. That in itself is alarming. She should have, by day 2, surely she should have been even more distressed. Because by that stage, the children had been missing for over 24 hours. By the afternoon, we're talking 36 hours or more. So she should have been beside herself. So when I hear that she was calm and going from one group of people to another, that's a bit of a red flag for me. And that was early afternoon. Honestly, we need like a special dictionary for this case. Most people would be hysterical. That's for sure. They'd be wanting more Jeromes out and about. So true, so true. Someone had to say it. Oh, so Hayden was not there that day, or he was out searching? Because, yeah, now I think about it, Hayley doesn't talk about Hayden in terms of the altercation or being in the house or anything. So she was on the phone before the prayer with the chief and possibly to her brother. Right. I'm going to have to email you guys with a few questions, which I will jot down after I get off the live stream. Because I do have questions, but I need a bit of processing time. So I think I'm going to wrap it up there. It's been a really good conversation, and I will definitely be coming back to look at this some more tomorrow. So possibly on autopilot, just going through the motions. Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for coming in. I've really appreciated the conversations that have been happening in here. If you haven't hit the like button, please hit the like button on the way out. And you know the deal by now. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you're on replay, so just do this first. So you're not sure who was around, but you do believe that's who she was talking to on the phone, right? Cool. Anyway, thanks for coming in, people, and I will catch you in the next one.
Into